welcome to the studio. I'm Georgia Stock, and I'm here with Oak Mountain Media's head advisor, Mr. John Milton. So I'm very, very happy that you are here. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. Thank you. This is, I think, one of my first interviews on camera. Usually I'm behind the camera. I'm not, in front with y'all talking. Yeah. So good to be here.
Yes, I'm very, very happy that you're here. So I wanted to bring you in here because I wanted to ask you a couple questions. So my first question starting off is, you graduated from Oak Mountain High School. You are a huge member in your community, and I just wanted to ask, after you graduated high school and graduated college, what made you want to come back to the Oak Mountain community and want to grow up your kids here and be able to teach here as well?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2002, and I knew in high school I wanted to be a teacher. I went to North Alabama for college, then was in South Alabama at Troy, and I knew at some point I wanted to move back to Birmingham. And I had an opportunity out of grad school to go to Mountain Brook, and so I was there for about 4 years. And then I came here, so I just always kind of wanted to come back and raise my kids sort of in the area that I was raised. I love the school, I love the community, so glad to be back here.
Yeah, so did you ever think, like when you were in college, did you picture yourself coming back to your hometown and raising your kids here? Like, is that what you wanted, or did you want to go like somewhere out of state or somewhere a little bit farther from here?
Well, I did not start thinking about having kids until much later in life, so I was not even thinking about what I wanted. I think I've always loved Birmingham, have a lot of family here, so I think I always wanted to move back here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know that when I was in college I knew where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a football coach.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a long time, and then that kind of brought me back to this area.
I think that's really, really cool how you went from like one thing to another. I really, really like that. But another question that I had for you is, as a father of four, a teacher, and someone who's a huge advisor who takes so much and puts so much into leadership as well, how are you able to manage time? I know that for our leadership program right now, or our leadership team right now, we're reading a book that is called there's
168 hours.
168 hours.
2 weeks. And
I've been reading that book, and I just think it's really cool. But how are you able to manage your time, especially with everything that you do? Yeah,
well, I mean, it's certainly easier to talk about how I manage my time than to actually do it. So I certainly am not perfect at it. Yeah. But I try to set boundaries for the time that I have. So I try to be, when I'm at home, I try to be at home. When I'm here, I try to be here, and I just try to. Great advice I was given by a former superintendent was just be where you are. I think a lot of times we're always thinking about the next thing or what's coming up, and we're never just in the moment. And so I try to just be wherever I'm at. I try to just give 100% to that. And then when I'm not there, shut it off, not do it. But again, I do not do perfect at that. But I also think when you have, like, having 4 kids, and being really busy sort of forces you.
I bet that's a lot. Like, you're probably running, like, there's probably like toys everywhere, I bet.
Yeah, I love to get rid of toys. That's like, we have so many toys, and so anytime we can trash things is a good day for us.
I bet so. But my other question is for you. So I know that you were a advisor, you were the SGA advisor, Student Government Association. So what was it like transitioning over from SGA to Oak Mountain Media?
It's actually been really great, because with SGA there was a lot of leadership. It was a lot of event planning, and it was a lot of kind of big things. What I really like about Oak Mountain Media is that it's still a lot of leadership, but it's more everyday stuff that we're doing in class. It's not, we're not like planning for 6 months for a big thing. We're weekly, bi-weekly kind of working together, but we still do camp. Camp was always something I loved doing in SGA.
Camp was so much fun. I loved it.
Camp was a lot of fun. That was something I wanted to do. And I'm glad that we're able to do that with Oak Mountain Media. So in a lot of ways, it's the same. I would say, like, you and our leadership team could easily be doing everything that student government does, running all of those events. But this is fun for me because this involves instruments and recording and film and those kind of areas that I didn't get to do with student government.
I really like how you took that with Ryan Ryan Hall, correct?
That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
very bad with names.
No.
So I just think that's really cool how you and Ryan just had this huge idea of wanting to do something like this. So how has Ryan Hall and other student leaders really impacted like kind of how you maneuver through the day, like your thoughts or your opinions or anything following that line?
Yeah, well, you know, I really value opinions that students have, and I really think that, you know, Ryan and you and our leadership team and students that have come through, and even students that aren't on the leadership team, have great ideas, have lots of passion, lots of drive, and so I try to really tell myself that there's a lot of great ideas, and my job is to kind of like not get in the way of those great ideas, and so, but that's, you know, I think most teachers, that's part of what's fun for them about teaching is the interaction.
And being able to get to know their students.
Yeah, getting to know your students, building those relationships. So yeah, I mean, that's always for me been something I've really enjoyed is what do you want to do, and then how can we make that happen? And Ryan, you know, Ryan was really unique in his drive and his follow through, and he was a great, you know, person to really kind of found and start the program. But there are so many names in that first year, second year, third year, this year, people that have just had so many contributions to making this happen. It really, you can't pin it down on one person. So I feel like it's more, my job is more taking care of what the vision that students have and sort of helping it grow as opposed to this is my thing, it's y'all's thing, and my job is to help it
and help it blossom and grow even more than it can be. And I really like that you want to be able to reach out to your students, be able to give them something that they want to be passionate about. That's something that I really do value. But going back to the leadership topic, so I know that you love reading leadership books. I have seen you preach it before at a leadership conference, which I think is awesome. So what really motivated you to want to be able to start teaching leadership or want to be able to portray those leadership aspects?
Well, I think, you know, I was involved in a lot of things in high school, and I was involved in a lot of things in college in terms of just opportunities to lead. And I've never been the most talented at anything I've ever done. I've never been the top at anything, sports or academics or anything. But I was always able to have success because of leadership, just learning how to talk to people, learning how to network, and just, you know, and also just learning how to evaluate yourself and say, oh, I need to completely change directions. This isn't working out. And so leadership's always been something that's been such a benefit to me because I don't have all these other, I'm not top heavy when it comes to talent. So I've had to try to be a better leader. And so I think that's what's been, that's why I want students to grow and develop as leaders, because, you know, you may or may not have talents in a certain area, but everybody can grow as a leader. Everybody can, you know, develop more empathy. Everybody can develop, you know, boundaries and guardrails and find ways to influence, you know, others. And so that's, to me, it's just more practical. It's just how can every student have something that will benefit them? And if it's not talent, it's got to be, I think, leadership.
Yeah. And I think is that kind of the reason why you wanted to start Oak Mountain Media? It's because, like, you see every day, like, some kids aren't always going to be the athlete. They're not going to be the brains. And I just think that, do you think that one of the main reasons why you started Oak Mountain Media was because it could be a home to those people who aren't an athlete or who aren't, like, the brains of the chemistry class?
Yeah, so I would love to say that was always the plan. I think that's been a huge side benefit. Honestly, for me, a lot of it is just, this is really fun to do, and I had a great relationship with Ryan Hall and several of those students that wanted to do it, so let's do it. But as the program's grown, you know, one of the things that has been just great to me has been that there are a lot of students that they kind of find their place here. And I saw that with student government too. There were kids that, you know, that's where they found their place. And so I love that we have, not just here, but so many different things at Oak Mountain High School where there really is a place for every student here to do something. I have kids in other classes that will just come in here and play guitar or play the drums, and that's just the best part of their day for them. And I'm glad that we can, you know, provide that.
Yeah. I think that's one of the really, really cool concepts of Oak Mountain Media. But my last and final question for you is, so this is, I feel like this one is a good one, knowing you and your leadership ways and talking about it. Would you ever write a leadership book? And if so, what would your main talking points be?
So one of the things on my bucket list would be to write a book, because I talk a lot and I feel like, well, maybe I could put that into words somehow. I think if I wrote a book, though, it might would be just stories, just things that I've seen other students do or just experiences I've had.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many great leadership books out there. I don't know that I could say something in a different way that it hasn't already been said.
Yeah.
Every time I think, oh, I could write a book, I'll find a book that has it, and I'm like, well, this is so much better than anything I would write.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, but I think that there are a lot of people out there that are more impactful in leadership and have a bigger impact in what they do. I'll give one book plug. I read a book years ago that sort of changed my way of thinking about leadership. It was called 360 Degree Leader. It was a John Maxwell book, and the book, essentially what I got from it was that you really shouldn't, as a leader, focus on how you can have more impact and influence by getting the next position and moving up, but look around you and see what impact and influence you can have where you are right now.
Yeah.
And I realized as a high school teacher, I mean, I get to see 150 students almost every day, 120 students every day, and that's a tremendous amount of influence that I can have, as opposed to if I try to move up the ladder and I try to be in a position where I'm removed from students. There's great things you can do there, but you also lose that opportunity to connect with students. And so, I think for me, just leadership has just become, I want students to not think of leadership as something that's like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like it's just influence, and you can wake up today and decide that you want to, positively influence people, or you can wake up today and decide you want to negatively influence people. I think most people wake up and don't think about the influence they have, and it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
And so I hope that, students as they go through this class, other classes, will just wake up and think about who can you impact positively today, and that will make a huge difference in your life and in the lives of people around you.
Yeah. And I really like that. Also, one of the things that you mainly say is everyone has a story and every single person's stories matters, which is so true. And I just think that that's one of the things that you have taught me along my second year, my 2 years here in Oak Mountain Media. And I just think that you being able to want to do this is just something that's really beneficial, not just for people, not just for everyone, but for everyone in your class as well. But
yeah, well, you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Big props to you and to
Thank
a whole
you.
team behind the cameras. There's all these folks that are in here working and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys do a great job. And like I said, this is my first time on the hot seat. I've been, it's hard for me not to think about, well, what's happening in the control room and what's happening in all these other areas. But y'all do a great job. It's really fun to get back to sit back and watch y'all do this. That's probably just the biggest joy I have, is just seeing you guys struggle and then overcome, struggle and overcome, and that's just the process. So I love that.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
As for Oak Mountain Media, I'm Georgia Stock. If you would like to check out our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, that'll be all at OakMTN Media. And if you would like to check out our website, it is at oakmtnmedia.com. Thank you so much.